My emerging technologies report is on flexible displays. So essentially, those are really just what they sound. They are displays. They're screens that are flexible. You can roll them, you can bend them, you can fold them. There's really a lot of interesting uses to them. So here, let's go to the first frame of my presentation. So here's some information about where you might find information about flexible display technology. It's still pretty far down the pipeline, so there aren't any products out on the market yet with flexible displays. But you do hear about them at events like the Consumer Electronics Show or CES, or certain manufacturers, sometimes have keynote events like Samsung or Sony, and they will show off their prototypes at these kinds of events. So if you're interested in finding out more about flexible displays, really the main resources for this right now are tech blogs, websites, and even newspapers that have technology sections. So, a few of those websites are Gizmodo, that's a blog, and Mashable, and Gadget, those are all tech blogs. And even the Huffington Post website and New York Times, they both have technology sections. So those are, nice resources to check out if you're interested in seeing, what the up and coming technology is. So here essentially is, what flexible displays are and how they work. So like I said before, they are literally screens that are flexible and they can be put on any sort of device that has a screen. They've actually been in development since the 1970s, but obviously they've come, quite a long way in that time. But they are lighter, thinner, and much more durable than traditional screens, so they really are quite versatile. Um, and you can implement them in pretty much any device with a screen, like a phone, a tablet, computer, even a TV, and e-readers too. So really, the possibilities are pretty much endless. This diagram on the right here, the top two, the OLED and the LCD, those are traditional screens that you might see right now in your smartphone. They generally involve glass, and obviously they're not flexible. But the image below, the FAM OLED display, that's a flexible display. And while I'm not really an expert on the chemistry behind it, these are the layers that comprise one of the screens. And I know one of the main components for the screen are the organic light emitting diodes. That's what the OLED stands for, and that's really what gives the screen its light and how it works. And I'll give you a link later in the presentation that you could follow if you're interested in finding out more of the mechanics behind these flexible displays. So here's just a quick video. I think it's really interesting because you actually get a chance to see one of these displays in action and you get to hear some interesting specifications about it.
Hey there, it's Dr. Gadget, and we are here at SID Display Week in Vancouver, British Columbia, taking a look at LG's new prototype 5-inch flexible OLED panel. And so you can see here it's bent, it's curved here, and it is completely flexible. It is plastic, and so it is bendable and unbreakable as well. So if you look over here, this is the panel itself. Obviously nothing is being displayed right now, but you can see that you can bend it like so. You can drop it, you can hit it, and it will not break. So there's even a mallet over here, and you can hit the panel, and it is A-OK. And so this will be embedded in some smartphones by the end of this year. They may not necessarily be 5-inch smartphones, so there could be a smaller or larger display as well. But the idea here is that the panel would not break. And so if you drop your phone, there will be a glass layer, and the glass layer can break, but the panel behind it won't. So a repair, if necessary, would be relatively inexpensive. It's also very lightweight and power efficient as well. So we don't know the exact resolution, but we do know that it is 5 inches, as you can see right here, and it's at least 1080p, so at very least 1920 by 1080 resolution. And it's very, very sharp. See if we can zoom in here, and you can see very sharp display and a very natural effect. So very cool. This is definitely the star of the show at SID.
So obviously they seem like they're pretty cool devices, and I'm sure you're wondering, can we use them in our classrooms? And the answer is a resounding yes. They really seem like they're perfect to use in schools, especially if you have young students or special education students, because they're really durable and they're portable. You can use them in any sort of surface. You can roll them. You can bend them. So they're really, really versatile. And I think that they will, stand up to quite the beating by our students. So, like I said, they really are ideal for young students or for special education, for hands-on activities or for portable assignments. I really like the idea, of them being so flexible. It adds sort of a tactile component to their use, which can be good for students with other sort of sensory input issues. So, yeah, I think they're really versatile, and I'm really excited to see these come onto the market in the next few years because I think they will be great for educators. And now, of course, there definitely will be a few disadvantages. Obviously, these are still pretty far down the pipeline, so it's hard to know when exactly they will become a reality in our schools. Probably it'll take a few more years. The very first flexible display devices are slated for release by the end of this year, and of course, those will be the most early ones, and schools generally are not early adopters. So, by the time these come into our schools, it may be, quite a while from now. And of course, another issue is price. There's no, specific prices right now for these, but they are very new, and they're probably not going to be inexpensive. So one blogger that I had found estimated that, a smartphone-sized device with a flexible display might start around $500. So obviously that's a lot of money, especially for a small device. So this is something we'll have to, keep an eye on over the years, and I'm sure, after a while the price will come down and these will become a feasible option for our schools, but it may take some time. So here we have just sort of looking to the future because I think, these flexible displays will really be a wonderful thing for our schools. I have a couple images which I think are interesting here. The one on the top is a display that's essentially being rolled out of a scroll type device, which just shows really how portable they are and how much they really can roll up and bend. And then on the bottom I have a photo of an e-ink flexible display. So that's essentially like the display you would find in your Kindle or your Nook. So that's an interesting use of the technology, and it makes me wonder if we'll see that, in our students' textbooks one day. But, I think it would really be ideal if one day our students would have access to these displays on a daily basis. I'm imagining, classrooms with, huge posters that are made out of flexible displays that you could, display some sort of multimedia on instead of just the static, maybe handwritten or printed poster that you have in your classroom right now. You might be able to have some sort of, multimedia presentation on a display. You could use them for a virtual reality experience. You could hang them up all around your classroom and sort of, create a virtual reality environment. And obviously there are really many, many more uses for these. These are just a few that I've read about and thought of off the top of my head, but I'm sure you have, even more ideas about how these flexible displays can and hopefully will be used. Down here I just have a few resources that I invite you to check out if you're interested in finding out more about displays. I will point out that the one on the top right from SamsungGeeks.com is where I found that the diagram that I showed you earlier. So if you're interested in finding out the specifics of the flexible displays and how they work, that is the link to check out. That is my Emerging Technologies report on flexible displays, and I hope you'd enjoyed it. Thanks.